Yo, 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 what's going on, Cowboy Nation? Coach Marv's going to step in on. Hey, just want to step out here for a few seconds and give you some thoughts of what I've been thinking. Um, uh, want to try to unpack just a little bit of what I saw in Coach Schottenheimer's press conference and how that touches upon uh, what I had in my previous show a couple of shows ago when I was pointing out the five criterias of building the culture and changing the culture narrative. And I could see in his interview and what's been going on so far that it seems like Schottenheimer is taking a page out of those five things, and he's working to try to change the narrative by working for those five basic essentials. Um, and also wanted to some news that came out today that really disappoints me. Um, they say, and I want to make sure if anybody's out there in the chat will let me know um, that the Cowboys um, are going to be featured in the 2025 Hard Knocks for the season. Um, I don't know, this is something y'all need to share on this here because a lot of guys are not going to talk about it because um, it's publicity for us. Um, we like that publicity. What's going on, Jay? There's some crazy stuff I'm about to say. Some Jay, it's crazy when I just saw that information. Um, this is why I say when you coach at Dallas, it's a it's a different breed of type of job. This is why I say when you coach at Dallas that you got to deal with a lot of different distractions that a lot of coaches don't have to deal with because they're not on the sun. I had a friend of mine. I talked about Dallas, and I said, "Man, y'all are a flashing light, maybe a spotlight at times. The Cowboys are the sun, and what I mean by the sun, they got the biggest, brightest spotlight on everything they do, and every news station, every big time sports thing has a story about the Cowboys at least every day, more than two or three times a week, regardless of what the situation is. So I don't know why do our ownership allows to try to two things. I don't know why our ownership don't see that the NFL is using the Cowboys to build its brand and to build the Cowboys brand, but build their brand, and they're doing stuff to distract the Cowboys because they want to distract the Cowboys because they don't want to see they want to see the Cowboys do well, but they don't want to see them all the way successful. It's a diversion tactic where you think it's helping you, but it's actually hurting you. If the Cowboys are not on Hard Knocks, if the Cowboys nobody talks about them every day, they're still going to be the most popular franchise in sports. So why do we have to put a spotlight on the sun? I hope you understand what that analogy says. Why do you have to put a spotlight on the sun? And I know some of y'all say, well, that's how they make. Listen, you don't have to advertise the Cowboys. The brand that has been built with the Cowboys is going to last through any. That's for the Atlanta Falcons or another franchise that's trying to get popularity, that they need to be on certain shows to try to get their name out there. We don't need to get our name out there. What I would think the Joneses would be doing is saying, hey, let's give this coach, this head coach, the first year to be as focused as we need him to be to make him successful. But instead, we're going to put him in. We're going to turn a spotlight on the son. And I know some of y'all think that's okay. But distractions. The Cowboys' biggest issue for the last 30 years is no focus on football, but focusing and having too many distractions and not having a guy that can alleviate some of these distractions and get the unit to focus on the real goal of winning the Super Bowl. I know that's not a sexy topic. I know that's not something that y'all going, a lot of people going to be like, well, Coach Marv preaching again, but that's the truth. If you think about it, distractions is the main thing. Listen, we have an ownership that calls distractions because they want to play a soap opera game. So as soon as your coach say, okay, I'm learning how to deal with those distractions because I've been here for a while. He's been here a couple of years. So he said, well, I know how to deal with those distractions, but I'm going to get my team focused. And then you throw Hard Knocks. Now you build it even more. You got a coach saying, I'm not trying to have 53 brands, but then you put them on the stage, well, guys are going to try to get a brand. And some of our fans and some of our players, I'm not getting at our fans, but think about it. We got a mentality of putting the cart before the horse. I think as a team, we thinking that we're a better football team than what we really are. But let's be honest, fans. And I want us to be honest with each other. Let's be honest. We're a 7-10 football team with great potential. And I'm not talking bad, with great potential and underachieving, have been underachieving for the last 3-4 years. But potential, if it doesn't turn into kinetic energy, where that's the energy of actually performing the task, it's going to have me sad, you sad, and all of us sad at the end of the day. I just don't think this was a good time. And listen, the NFL know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. All these live games, these tough games right off the bat. I believe the NFL secretly behind closed doors, and don't shank me with the butter knife or the spoon. But I think the NFL, just like I felt, and a lot of people going to disagree with me on this. Some people going to disagree with me hard. But I think the NFL and the inside, the real football people in the NFL know that McCarthy wasn't the right guy to lead this team. And they feel that Schottenheimer's demeanor might be just what this team need, but they didn't need to soft Mike McCarthy. And they're trying to do whatever they can do to distract and derail where they think he can come out and put this team together. Listen, man, I told you teams, man, Man, the NFL scared of the Cowboys talent. Ain't nobody talk about the Cowboys talent. Listen, man, when you got 3, 4, and I know we're going to the talent, but talent, man, we can see that. And I really believe if they feel if the Cowboys could put the mental part back and humble themselves, there's a possibility they could do great things. Listen, when a team goes 12-5 in this hard NFL, there's a reason why there's not many teams that go win 12 games a year, even though they done moved up the games, amount of games. But 12-5, 3 years in a row, constitute, even though you might not won some big games, what I thought we didn't perform in big games like we supposed to. But that constitute, even though I may have felt that it was some coaching hiccups, that you have a good football team. And we could have put the mental part with the goodness, man. We might not be talking about this. We might be talking about we already got a Super Bowl championship within 30 years. But the mental thing is what's got to be fixed. The mental culture is what's got to be fixed. I believe you fix the mental culture. You know, we used to work on mental culture when I used to, coach and play. The mental culture. Because you want to get guys thinking a certain way. Then you can add the physical part and you can push them physically if you get the mental culture first. That's about being on the same page. That's what Schottenheimer is working on now, mental culture. So then when we move into the real practices, and even with OTAs, then when you get the mental part thinking correctly together at a certain level, then you can move that into physical. But again, the Cowboys, we got a tough schedule. Then we try to get ready for a tough part of the season right off the bat, and here you put us on Hard Knocks. It's a distraction, man. I don't like it at all. It may be good viewing, but I don't like it at all. But Schottenheimer has this, he understands. That's why it's only certain coaches that do well here in Dallas. You got to be a strong-minded guy. You got to be a disciplined guy, and you got to be able to stick to that, and you got to be able to psychologically deal with players to get a mental culture built in. That's tough, man. It ain't all about X's and O's in Dallas. It ain't. And if you come in here and think you're going to be an X's and O coach, you're going to fail in Dallas. If you come here thinking you're going to be not a psychologist, you're going to come in here and be I'm just going to roll with the flow, you're not going to win in Dallas. If you come in here like that, we're trying to build a brand, you're not going to win in Dallas. There's only certain types. If you think about it, the three coaches I want to say, and I want to say Bill Parcells had some great success because where he brought this team up from where it was at, if he would have just had enough juice in his body, he might have got to a NFC Championship or maybe a Super Bowl. But think about it, those three coaches, Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson, and Bill Parcells, media didn't run them. Did it? All three of them was no-nonsense coaches. They love on you when you're doing right, but you didn't want to feel their wrath when you jack stuff up. And they didn't have to go out there and tell everybody the news. And they were one thing, and I'm about to get on to what McCarthy was trying to set up the culture, the building points of what I talked about the other day. Those three coaches, Landry, Johnson, Parcells, They had one other attribute that was real important to coaching, and especially coaching the team that we call on the sun. And the reason I say the sun, that's the biggest thing in the atmosphere. Players respected them. And players respected them and trusted what they said. Now, I did not say like. And when they played for him, I ain't say love. But they respected and they trust them. Now, they may listen. You might not like a coach, but if you respect him and trust him, now people think if you like respect the guy, you be like, oh well, he respect the guy. That means he jump around. No, you can respect the guy and have a problem with him, and not like him at all. But you respect what he says and you trust what he tells you, even though you might not like it, or you might think he's wrong, but you trust what he's saying to you is how he feels. And he not giving you no, oh, I feel this way, and he another way. And usually with coaches that you respect and you trust, at the end of your plan with them, you love them. Case in point, players rave about Hollywood Henderson. He raved about Tom Landry. A lot of players raved about Tom Landry after they got finished their careers and after they got finished. But during their careers, they thought he was an asshole. And he said, good religious man. You don't have to be a cusser. He was a straight up, good religious guy, but he was just as hard nosed as they can be. And he had a lot of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But at the end, they liked him. At the end, they loved him. But they respected him and they trusted what he said. And he had some characters. Harvey Martin, man, listen, it wasn't more than guys with this. Hollywood Henderson was on drugs back with the Cowboys. Those guys were crazy. But when it came to Tom Landry, the football, it went number one way. Tom Landry way. Same thing with Jimmy. Guys hated, man, listen, man. Guys didn't really like playing with Jimmy because Jim was so, he grinded them and ran them and pushed them so hard. But at the end of the day, Troy Aikman didn't like Jimmy at first. But at the end of the day, after all it got done, they respected and they loved him. They started out with respect and trust. At the end, it turned into like and admiration and love. But while you're going through it, you call the man all kind of SOBs. Man, I don't know why he's tripping. Man, some guys probably said, man, I can't wait to get out of here. But they're like, no, I ain't going nowhere because we winning. And they put up with it because he understood the trust part, the trust and the respect part was to get the best out of them. And when they look back at the end of their career, they understand that he got the best out of them. But those characteristics were the three best coaches, I think, in Cowboys. Everybody else that don't have those characteristics, and one other characteristic there, all three of them were psychiatrists. They had the knack to be able to motivate you to get you to do what you need to do. And that goes back to what I said. Remember, Coach, if you videos, remember what I told you about talent. Coaches can't make talent. They only have four jobs with talent. That's to motivate them, to get them motivated, to refine their skills, make their skills better, hold them accountable, and put them in the right spot for their talents to shine. That's all coaching is. With talent, with your players. But you can't do that if they don't trust you or respect you. And I didn't say like or love at this particular point. So when somebody says, you ever hear the word, or when people use the phrase talking about they'll run through the brick wall for the coach? A lot of people think that everybody run through the brick wall for the coach because they love the coach. Some guys gonna run through that brick wall because they fear him. Some gonna run through that brick wall is not because I really like him, but they trust them that on the other side of that brick wall is a win. Is what they want. It's not all because they're gonna run through the brick wall because they love a guy. Some guys gonna run through that brick wall because they fear the guy. Some guys gonna run through that brick wall because they trust that guy can get the best out of them, but they don't too much love him because they think he's an a-hole or he too hard. But they're gonna trust that he knows what he's talking about. So yes, you want a guy to be able to run, you want your team to run through brick wall. But all of them ain't because of love and admiration. Because if I'm correct with you and you can trust me, and I'm gonna keep you motivated. I'm gonna make you a better player. I'm gonna find your skills. I'm gonna hold you accountable with being trustworthy. And you respect me, and you know without a doubt that I'm gonna play you in the right spot. I don't care how much you cuss at me or whatever, but if you know those things, the respect and the trust is there. And we can move on and do some great things together. Hey, Bree. So those are the type of things that I'm that's what I want to say. Want to get to. We got to get to that point, and we got to have 3 coaches that had those characteristics. So how is Schottenheimer? Where I was impressed by his press conference the other day. And like I told you, Coach Marv listened to interviews. I listen to interviews. I listen to what the coaches say. I listen to what the players say. I make sure that I listen to those things because I try to decipher out of what's real and what's fake. Now, what a coach says, what a player says today, I'm just saying I like it. Now I got to find out what you're doing to back up what you say. Let's think about that, man. That's in life. When you first meet somebody, or sometimes you get into something, or you get a new job, you go to a new restaurant. Everybody's gonna say what they think that you want to hear, or do what, or say what you think you want to hear, because they want you to be a return customer, to date them again or whatever. That's it. That's human nature. Everybody try to put their best foot forward. But if you watch them in any situation, the next 2-3 steps after that first foot forward, I say step number 4 or 5, because they're going to back it up with step number 2. But when you get to step 4 or 5, maybe the third acquaintance or the third time or this and that, watch what they do. And if what they do didn't back up what they said on day 1, Houston, there's a problem. Now, where I used to believe when people talk to me, and I'm probably one of the most give people the benefit of the doubt more than anybody else. Where I used to give people 70 to 80% upfront validity, then I start watching what they do and it don't back up what they said. Then I start giving them 30 and 40% validity. That means 30 and 40% of what it comes out of their mouth, I may believe. Everything else, we have to investigate. And if they back up what they do and they continue to back up what they did on the first encounter, then I start raising my trust in them. And when they tell me something, I can almost bank it. So this is what a coach is trying to do with his team when he's trying to build what I told again. The two biggest ingredients, trust and respect. Now we can take that in coaching. You can take that in life. You can take that in a job. You can take that in relationships. You can take that anywhere. Live on love and light. But trust and respect, they build into love and like and love. If you got those two things, ain't no way you can have love or like. Or nothing not last. So McCarthy is trying to build these things. So his first presser, two things that made me interested. One, he changed up something that has been done in a long time. He said, I'm gonna sit down and I'm not gonna stand on the podium. I'm gonna sit down and let's have a conversation. I like that. I ain't had too many press conferences, but I love when I had to talk in front of me. I would love to have sit down with reporters. When I did coach that year, we had some reporters. I would love to sit down. I'd like to sit down. So that was a new, what I consider that is, I'm changing it to my style. I'm not going, as he said earlier, that follow-up is what he said earlier a couple of weeks ago about I'm going to be me. That's a feather in his hat for me. Because he's following up what he said before. So he starts off with a culture builder right off the bat, of folks. He starts off with a culture builder right off of the bat. And a lot of people probably didn't see this culture builder right off of the bat. And that first culture, and it didn't fall into, remember now, let me just give you the flashcards of what the culture building pieces are. You got physicality, you got discipline, you got mental toughness, you got coaching and leadership, and then you got talent. Those are Coach Mar's 5 building blocks to building culture. This is a part. I know you see physicality in there, you see discipline, but the physicality, all this is building a mentality first, a cultural mentality that we hope he's going to convert into harder work. But he made some interesting points to talk about some of the stuff he did. So he started off his interview, and I'm sorry I uploaded the video, but Coach Marv ain't got any good with these uploading and tape. But I'm working. I'm gonna get there about uploading and putting that stuff so I can give you listening proof of what was said. But his first thing was he was asked about OTAs, and he was saying that he wanted his veteran players to be there, and he wanted them to be leaders to these rookies and undrafted free agents. He wanted that. So he's looking to increase the leadership qualities on this team because he understands it's going to be important. Those are his players, but he's probably done had meetings with guys that he considered sergeants or sergeants on the field. The guys with the more stripes. If you're in the military, the guys with the more stripes, or the guys usually in a unit, the guys are usually doing good, and the drill sergeant see that these guys maybe can be leaders. He might have a little interaction with them off to the side or private to motivate them to carry over his word or his mentality to the rest of the troops. That helps his voice get out there. So this is what I'm saying. He liked that. He wanted them to direct these guys because the guys were young and trying to learn their way. The very next question was about Michael Parsons. And he didn't get off of that lead about leadership. He came in with the leadership about, I want my veteran players, to lead my younger players. But then he came in about him and Micah, because they asked about Micah coming to the other OTA when he said he wanted Micah there. I talked about this in my first video. He didn't have to go out there and boast and brag. Let me tell you something. A very good head coach don't have to go through the media and boast and brag. He doesn't have to go to everybody and tell everybody he did this or he said this. Yes, he don't have to boast and brag to you in the media or whatever to make it seem like he's in charge. Usually in a football setting, in a house setting, in a job setting, the one that really leading the whole pack doesn't have to boast and brag to let everybody know that they're a leader. If they telling everything and telling everybody what they done told everybody, they faking. So he had the talk with Parsons, and this is what I like because Parsons responded, and he laid the bait for this. Do you remember when he laid the bait for this? He laid the bait when he said earlier in an interview when he said he asked Parsons to be more of a leader. He's followed up in this interview talking about Michael Parsons being a leader, and he said that Michael wants to be a leader. But he said he's had that conversation. So this is the building block is he's building right now is he's building a culture already of getting the veteran guys to be more of a leadership role to our young people to get them acclimated. He's building a culture where his best players are stepping in new roles. This is what he's building with this. He gonna touch upon this again. He's gonna touch upon it again when I tell you something else he's talking about in his presser. Also, by having a conversation with him, it goes back to what I said about coaching. He's building a relationship of trust and respect from his best players. Now, did I say that him and Michael Parsons gonna go drink beers together? He gonna name Michael Parsons the brother to his children, or they're gonna call his children gonna call Michael Parsons uncle? No. He's learned to learn the guy. He's meeting with the guy. They're getting stuff in common, but he built a respect because when he asked him to be someplace, he was there. Now, that's not saying he's running over Michael Parsons. That's not saying Michael Parsons is not, shot down and got on his head. is building respect, and Micah is trusting him that this is going to help this football team. Yeah. So he moves on. He moves on. Another thing I like about that, and he talked about this. He touched upon, he made an interesting statement. He talked about the practice in OTAs being aggressive and fast paced, but not combative, because the NFL don't like you to be combative. But you could be direct in your practicing, but not be combative. So he wanted a pace and a crispness and a competition to it. Well, that's two things. That's touching on two of the building blocks. One of the building blocks that's talking building on, and even though they're not in pads, but he wants a crispness to it. It's touching on this one. Physicality. Now, he don't want it to be combative, but he wanted to be crisp. He talked about that. He also talked about, when I hear him talk about physicality, he was like, well, the running backs look good, but we don't even know how the running backs going to look until we get out there and it is live in full color. That's preaching on physicality. He's letting his players know, like, hey, yeah, we all look good out here in shorts and pads, shorts and helmets, but we ain't gonna know about some of y'all guys until we put on the what? The knockers. Full Metal Jacket. So he's setting the culture in the middle part already about, hey man, don't get too impressed by you now. We won't understand until we get on the grass, the real grass, in Full Metal Jacket. So I think that's a touch on physicality. And I like, because these building blocks is not going to come all in 2 seconds. It's going to take some time. But you're building it mentally right now. So he moved on to something else. He said about practice. And woo. Boy, Coach Marv liked this when he talked about practice, because I've been saying before, if you can look back on all my shows, you go back to Boss Cowboy Show. You can go back sometime I talked on Law Nation. You can go back when I talked on Big Time Show. You can go back to all those shows. I have talked about this until I've talked about this. And a lot of people ain't talked about this, but I'm putting it out there. If we don't prepare differently, we will perish this season. We got to prepare differently. And we got to start off preparing a little different, which I like. But what did we hear all last year about McCarthy's practices? 3 or 4 times we heard that he said, man, the practice was lackluster. I told you what I heard about what they practiced and what they were looking film at, and how lack was before they went to the playoff game. He said one year they were scared going into the playoffs. Paying attention to details. Schottenheimer said in that interview he is particular about practice, because he feels that one of his mental things that he said he's trying to build, he said we're trying to build a culture, a championship #1 mentality culture here. So he's setting it in the mind already. He's building the mental, and he said he believes that you're going to play like you practice. Now, I've coached. I have been coached. I believe in that philosophy. If you practice like you play, now I know there's going to be some people out there say, well, coach, he ain't no practice guy, but he plays all right. But for the majority, it's going to be some exceptions to the rule. And what I told you about exceptions, if it's 10 instances and you can point out 1 out of 10, don't come with me with that being a reasoning. Because what I'm doing, I'm looking for a likeness right each time. And I'm not going to do this. So I'm going to go with the odds. For the majority of the people, they got to practice where you play. And he said that he touched on another building block that I thought it was very good, and a lot of people ain't pick up on it. Coaching and leadership. He said, we're trying to teach our players how to practice. Coaching. He's touched on leadership. Now he's touching on coaching. He said, we're trying to teach them how to practice productively. That's what coaching does. That's how you refine a guy's skills, the talented players you got. All this he's saying is trying to motivate guys. And he said, we're going to teach them how to practice effectively, better. Because his main thing is that practice is important of how you play. Now, I'm going to watch him when you get to the training camp. Because if you want to practice, if you want to play physical, and you want to be a bully, and you want to get out to people, and you want to be a physical football team, you can't practice like cream puffs. That's the bottom line. That's just like somebody say, hey, man, I want to make the money this guy make doing the same type of job. But I don't want to go to work every day. And he does that every day. Then the likelihood you making the same amount of money he making, it ain't. So I like it because he's setting the mental culture there, but we'll watch what he does in the future when it comes to this. He talked about when you're talking about players being there and doing certain things and teaching them how to practice. He's setting somewhere down the line, they're setting a tempo and how they go about doing things. And now we set the rules of discipline. You don't come into a place and say, all right, a guy breaks a rule and you start punishing him because he does something you don't like him doing. You have to mentally set rules, and then you have to be hold people accountable to those rules. And you got to hold them accountable. That's going to start your discipline right there. Setting discipline on the football team is trying to get the majority to do the right thing. Oh, somebody ain't gonna pick up what I just said. The majority to do the right thing. You're gonna have players that's gonna do things that gonna push that level of discipline. But you have to get them to, here we go again. You're able to get the discipline part over if your players trust and respect you. I did not say they like you or love you. It's, boy, I'm getting y'all some stuff y'all need to probably take in. And y'all, if y'all only share this content, because this content is on Coach Marv, Jordan, subscribe to this show, Coach Marv Real Talk, man. Go on Twitter and subscribe on Twitter. Go to my Facebook, like and comment, subscribe, because I'm giving y'all some nuggets right here, not only for football but for life. It's easy to discipline and get discipline over if your players trust you and they respect you. It's hard to discipline your players when they like and they love you. Let me say that again. Let me run that by you again. It's easier to discipline your players and get them to fall in disciplined things and do things in a disciplined manner if they trust you and respect you. It's harder for you to keep the discipline going if they like and love you. That's the same way in life. Think about it. The ones you like and love is the one you take for granted. And that's when you really are, well, it's all right. They're going to be okay. This was Dan Quinn's problem. People want to ask why the defense kind of fell off at the end. And they're talking about Dan Quinn had gave it up. No, I don't think that. I don't think that at all. I think Dan Quinn knew he was leaving, which I know he knew he was leaving. I knew that before. Anyway, I knew he was leaving. Birdie told me that he was gone. Regardless if he got a head coaching job or not, he was gone. And when he got that way, he started to build a relationship with the players, and he became more of an unk. And they liked him, and they loved him. But sometimes it's a thin line with coaching. And I've been there. Where you can go over, where your players like you and love you too much, and they don't respect that you're an SOB sometimes. And they start being sloppy, and then you can't even rein them in because they don't. It's that. Not saying it's a difference between respect, but they don't respect when they jump back in line because they know that you're not gonna go overboard. They don't. One thing about respect and trust, when somebody respects you in an utmost manner, they don't know if you're gonna flip it all the way out or not. They respect you, so they don't know your levels. But if they in admiration, love you and all that, they know you're gonna go to a certain level, you'll calm back down. And Dan Quinn got too close to the mirror for him to really see and to get them to respond. And I want a coach that's not going to get too close to that mirror until he get everything out that player. We can love and like each other after your career over, 1, 2, 3 titles. Now I'm going to say it again. It's easy to get disciplined in a team if the team respects their coaches and trusts their coaches. But it's harder when they like and love their coaches. So Schottenheimer been doing a lot of hanging out with the players and trying to build a relationship. And he touched upon about the physicality and the tempo. He's talked about, and then the last 2 points we talked about the physicality. We done talked about the discipline. We done talked about where he touched the point in with the discipline. We done talked about how he touched it with the physicality in the first part of the mental part about physicality, and hopefully branches off into training camp. He talked about the leadership of the players as well, coaches teaching them how to practice, and a philosophy about practice, how you play. That goes into discipline. But then we're going to say, well, Coach, how did he talk about mental toughness? He kept echoing in this interview about competition. Competition builds mental toughness. It also builds discipline. Yeah. Because competition makes you have to go out there and say, hey, I got to be mentally tough to be able to perform every day, because if I don't perform, guess what? Next guy gonna have my job. And it's going to teach you, if you don't do well, if you have some bad day because of the competition, that you don't drop your head, you get better. And you got to be disciplined to be able to handle mental toughness. And he ain't shying away that we got talent on this team. We try to bring guys in here to make guys better. First person he said is, we bring, when he said that, I know people gonna jump over there, but he said we brought in Milton to make Dak better. They brought in George Pickens to make CD better. Competition. That should build mental toughness. He's setting the stones, people, of a culture of mental toughness based off competition. Because if you got great competition, guess what? It's going to be some days that Pickens going to outshine Lamb. There's going to be some days that some of the running backs going to outshine the other. There's going to be some days that in practice that you may have the backup offensive lineman outshine the starter. But that competition is going to build you mentally tough to get you disciplined enough to get back on your horse and reclaim your spot. That's only going to make you better. So he don't shy about saying mental toughness. And then the last thing he talked about, if you go into his one of the last things he talked about, and I thought it was very good because he kept talking about the talent on this team, in which I think that they got the talent on this team. He kept mentioning the Osa. He kept mentioning, even mentioned Hunt and Lemke. He mentioned the running backs. He mentioned a lot of guys. He loves and listen, we got some guys that's about to come on the scene in the other year, like the second tight end. The tight ends who should be coming on our scene, pushing Ferguson. I mean, we got some guys who even, listen, man, I don't know if y'all think because y'all looking for names and y'all looking at, but I can see we got some talent out there. But he talked about talent and he went to a player because somebody went to that. They talked about George Pickens. Now, I talked about George Pickens on my previous video, and some may have looked at that and said, Coach, you was harsh on George Pickens, because I point out that George Pickens had to have some accountability about what happened in Pittsburgh. Because there was some stuff that was not his fault. Because if he didn't have no fault, he wouldn't have been traded. And he's too talented to be traded, unless there is some, if that's, there got to be some question marks. And if he traded after the draft, that means there was some question marks, because nobody would say we're going to give up no big time picks before the draft to get you. Now, is that denigrating or talking bad about Pickens? No, it ain't. Because I think the kid is talented. And I think it goes back to what I said about it. Same thing Tony Dungy said. He got a meeting with him right off the bat. He let Pickens, Schottenheimer told him, he said he let him know how much talented he was, how much he wants him to be here. Yes. This young man needs to be praised. Or not be praised. Praise is not the word I wanted to use. This young man needs to feel like he's wanted here. There's a difference between wanting and praise. When you start praising people, you start saying that they're over the top. You're already giving them number one status of ultimate status. The only person I know I praise is my Lord Jesus Christ. That's who I praise. But I praise him, but there's a difference between praise and making him feel wanted. And that's what he did by getting the time with him and making him feel wanted. And he also let him know how talented he was and how much he can help this football team. But you could tell in that situation, in that thing, he also told him that you had some fault about it didn't work in Pittsburgh. And if those things don't change, it won't work here either. And that's why he mentioned this Pickens into his books, into the playbook and all that. That was talked about. That was talked about, those things that was narratives be set. And some people got some info on those things. Don't believe that it wasn't nothing there. A talented guy like that don't get traded like that where he had it just don't happen. There is some stuff there that they felt that they didn't want to deal with. Now, is that going to be detrimental to him and his rest of his career? He got a second chance. But he has to come in a spot where he doesn't love or like Schottenheimer. But he got to respect him. And he got to trust that Schottenheimer going to put him in the right spots for him to flourish. And whatever Schottenheimer tells him, he got to trust that Schottenheimer is shooting it straight to him and tell him what he feels. And if he can trust and respect his coaching staff, he will fit into his role here. He will compete in everything. We will never have to worry about him blocking. We won't have to worry about him running around. We ain't going to have to worry about him doing the little things. We're not going to take his identity away from him or who he is. But that had to be mentioned in that meeting. While we getting to know each other and shooting free throws and ha ha he, this is how it is. Don't ruin this opportunity in Dallas. Because if you ruin this opportunity like it was in Pittsburgh, you might find yourself in a situation where you'll never make no big money. But I think this kid can do it. He's got a second life in a big market and on the sun. And they're going to be looking for the same stuff that they saw out you in Pittsburgh. Yeah. Even the ones that out there, let me tell you something. Even the ones at 103.5 or all the ones out here in the 3-letter and 4-letter network that I hear praising. Here again, there's a difference between praising and make you feel wanted, but they praising you. They praised somebody before, and then they turn around and see what I'm saying? The same people praising you. This is a history, like I said, don't repeat itself. Same people praising him and talking about all this will be the same people, right? The Ryan Clarks and all this. They're watching you, Pickens, because they're looking to see the same type of attitude of what got you in trouble in Pittsburgh. And soon as they see it, they're going to tear you down. So Pickens, trust is this your second chance. And be the guy that you can be. Contribute to a championship team. Humbleness and being a team player is going to take you a lot farther at this point in your career than being a diva. And I believe you could do it. So Schottenheimer talked about his talent. He talked about how they was handling that talent. He believes in the talent. He believes in what Will McClay and them has brought in here. So he believes in that. He talked about his leadership and his coaching. He's building the blocks of the leadership and the coaching. Teaching them, he said, coaches need to teach his players how to practice. Practice is how we're going to play. Practice is pivotal in our performance. That he's trying to build a championship culture, a world-class culture in Dallas. So he's trying to build a mentality that we do certain things the right this way, and it bleeds in everybody, and then we're going to bring the physicality and the physical part to it, but we doing it by the mind type. So I guess what he said in this meeting, or this interview, I'm quite sure he's preaching the same lingo to his players. So this is the breakdown of how he has been doing this. We talked about two things here. We opened this show with talking about we don't like the Hard Knocks thing and about how that's, how we think the media in the NFL is utilizing Dallas, but they're also trying to sound distractions. They're trying to distract Dallas so they can get us off sidetrack. But I'm just hoping I'm hoping Schottenheimer stay at this pace, building the mental culture, and be who he is. Be a little bit more like your dad, because I know you got it in me, but be who you are. And we hoping this team follows. Hoping they're building a trust. Remember that I said that the key points. You want to make these key points. I want to leave you these key points. More than coaches liking you and loving you, the key to them to get them to do what you need to do is because they need to respect and trust you. The thing where people say that players run through the wall for a coach, they don't always run through the wall because they love and like them. Some run through the wall because they respect them. Some run through the wall because they fear them. Some run through the wall because they trust them on the other side of that wall that they're going to get what they want. Not necessarily saying they like or love them too well. But if they get everything they can get out of that coach can get everything out of them. At the end of the day, they'll learn to love and like him because they understand what he got out of him. Another key thing I've said, and I'm going to keep saying this. Schottenheimer has this talent. And whatever talent on this field is, there's only four things a coach can do with talent. They can motivate talent. They can refine the talent skills. They can hold the talent accountable. And they can put the talent in the right spot for it to be successful. And hopefully that's what they're doing with Schottenheimer. Right now, he's trying to mold them, teach them how to practice. He's trying to refine them, trying to do that. And then the last thing, when I talk about this, and we talk about physicality, he wants them to practice at a tempo. And when we talk about physicality, you got to remember this. And we talk about, when we talk about discipline, I'm going to say it again. It's easy to make sure you have a disciplined football team and get them to do disciplined things when the team trusts you and respects you. It's harder to keep discipline on the team if the players like and they love you too much. I like some of the things I hear about him not having 53 brands, but this makes it harder with this Hard Knocks. But let's keep him in mind and let's keep watching. Again, what I said, he just told us early on what he's going to do. Now we got to find out, does his actions, and Coach Marv is going to come back when I see some actions, and I'm going to tell you how they fit into our 5 building blocks to a culture: physicality, discipline, mental toughness, coaching / leadership, and talent. Those are the 5 building blocks to building a mental and a physical culture and identity to this team that's going to be well served and get us with an opportunity to get a good opportunity to get 6. And remember, Coach always said, no, having these things is not going to guarantee you a championship. There's too many things out there. But I will think it will put you in contention for that championship and have a greater chance of winning. But I will tell you this, not having these 5 things, you got a snowball chance in hell of winning the championship. Until next time, I love all y'all. Please like, comment, and share to your platforms. Get the word out. Get the word out. Talk about Coach Marv Real Talk. Thank you so much, man, for listening. For the people who came in and put messages in the chat. I didn't point it out to you one at a time, but thank you so much. Make sure y'all share this, y'all like, you comment, and tell your friends to get on board and subscribe and be a part of this journey that I'm going on, but with some real talk. But until next time, let's go Cowboys. Let's keep pushing Schottenheimer.